What do you think they're after? What's top of the wish list?
Yes, if they were, I think a centre-back would be right up there. Obviously, Joel Matip's out for the rest of the season. Konate does have his issues with fitness. He obviously finds it difficult sometimes to maintain that fitness, but when he plays, he's absolutely fantastic for Liverpool. And I think that is something with next to Virgil van Dijk is obviously a huge part of what Liverpool are trying to do. Joe Gomez can play across the back. He has been filling in at right backs, even at left back at the minute as well, and can play at central defender. But I think definitely if Liverpool were to do something, they'll be looking at centre half, and also maybe more one for the summer. But you know, according to Sky Sports News and other reports, is that they would like a right-back as well, you know, to push Trent potentially either into midfield on a more consistent basis, on a more permanent basis, or if there is an injury to Trent, what does that look like? Because who offers what Trent Alexander offers from right-back, especially inverting into midfield? So maybe part of the long-term planning for Jurgen Klopp is to look at getting Trent into midfield, and they'll need a top-class right-back because that's a big gap to fill.
I think a left-footed centre-back would probably help for balance for Liverpool. I think someone who can play centre-back but also cover at left-back if they want to keep Trent Alexander-Arnold as a kind of flying right-back and have that balance of a three, or indeed just to provide a bit more cover for Andy Robertson and also the left side of centre-back. In a strange sort of way, I think we're still figuring out how good this Liverpool team is and can be. I think when this summer window closed, I think everyone was a little bit unsure as to whether they'd done enough, particularly in midfield, whether Endo was going to be that all-powering number 6. I think, given the fact they were, you know, chasing Caicedo, chasing Lavia up until the deadline, I think when the window closed, we were all a little bit like, have they got that really good, strong, tough holding midfielder? But I feel like Wataru Endo's done fantastic since he's come in. And they're winning games with him in the team recently as well, which is all important. And then I think forward areas as well. You know, whatever happens with Mo Salah in the summer, I think they'll be looking at forward players as a potential, succession for Mo Salah. And then you've got to look at contracts within the team as well, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk, and other players as well entering the final 12 months of their contracts when we get to the summer period. So an interesting time coming up for Liverpool, both strengthening and renegotiating contracts.
Their rebuild almost got accelerated in the summer, didn't it? Because they lost a couple of players to the Saudi League that they probably wouldn't have expected to lose that early. I think probably there were succession plans in place for them long term, but they went to Saudi quite quickly in the end. So Liverpool almost got a rebuild forced on them in the summer, and they've rebuilt the forward area. They've done that well in the last few years. They've kind of had to rush it through with the midfield. So I think the next logical step for Liverpool now is that defence, and I think with the January market in mind, I think maybe the emergence of Quansah has negated the need for a centre-back to be as urgent as perhaps you would have thought it was at the start of the season. But losing Matip for the whole season, that's a definite blow. And then when they've had other injuries in the full-back area and Gomez has had to move across as well, you could argue that they're short.
I think they're still... Sorry, mate. I think they're still figuring out what Trent Alexander-Arnold's role is going to be going forward. You know, when we see the inverted full-backs like Zinchenko or Kyle Walker or John Stones do it for Manchester City, they're almost moving into midfield to control the game, whereas Trent Alexander-Arnold's role is almost to still play those killer balls, which is often we don't see with an inverted fullback. So is he coming in to control? Is he coming in to play killer balls? And maybe even we've seen him drop between the centre-backs and ping those balls. Is he still going to be getting into those right-sided spaces and bending in crosses into the box? So depending on where he ends up holding down the position, that might mean they need to go for a right-back. That might mean they need to go for a different profile of central midfielder to sit next to him.
I just wanted to add just quickly, I think actually Jurgen Klopp deserves so much credit for the rebuild that he's had to do in such a short space of time. And like you said, the question marks that were over that team and maybe some of the misfits or the system and how's it going to work. You've got McAllister playing a little bit deeper than he normally would. What's Endo going to be like? Gravenberch coming in, young player, not really playing at Bayern Munich. Szoboszlai's been an absolute revelation. For them to put that together in such a short space of time in Klopp's real first big question mark about rebuilding this squad, not like a couple of seasons ago when he just had loads of injuries and they still managed to get top four. This was a genuine, you've lost title-winning players, have reached the ceiling, you need to rebuild it. And for them to be this strong and this aggressive actually is quite positive for them to get to January and say, actually, we're probably all right, but if we can do something, we'll try.
High praise from
High praise.
Alexa. High praise from a United
Got to be fair.
fan.